Right now on News 3, the government is heading for a shutdown. An update from Capitol Hill. The assistant fire chief in Verona announces his resignation, what he's claiming led to his decision. And later, continued controversy surrounding a popular Madison nightclub setting up for an uncertain future.
This is News 3 at 10.
Thank you for joining us tonight. While negotiations continue, a partial government shutdown is all but assured to begin in an hour. The U.S. Senate and House adjourned until Saturday. As expected, Senate Republicans did not have the votes today to pass President Trump's demand for $5 billion in border wall funding. That means funding is set to run out for 9 federal agencies that employ 800,000 people. Those deemed essential, like air traffic controllers, will have to work, but without pay. About 400,000 others will be furloughed. Meanwhile, Senate Democrats and Republicans agreed to continue discussions to seek a deal. The talks remain focused on funding for President Trump's border wall. The Supreme Court upheld a federal judge's order blocking the Trump administration from implementing new asylum restrictions. The new policy signed in November would temporarily bar migrants who illegally cross the border from seeking asylum outside of official ports of entry. Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg is in a New York hospital tonight after another brush with cancer. She had 2 growths removed from her left lung. Her surgeon says both were cancerous, but that after surgery there was no evidence of any remaining disease and no cancer anywhere in her body. Governor-elect Tony Evers continues to fill positions in his cabinet. Today he announced 4 more members. He's choosing Craig Thompson to serve the Department of Transportation. He's the executive director of the Wisconsin Transportation Development Agency. Rebecca Cameron Valke will serve as chairwoman to the Public Service Commission. Evers also named Mark Afable as insurance commissioner and Brad Paff as the head of the Department of Agriculture, Trade, and Consumer Protection. Another day of big losses is leaving the U.S. stock market with its worst weekly drop in more than 7 years. It was also the worst losses in December since the 1930s. Major U.S. indices are now 16 to 26% below the peaks they reached in the summer and early fall. Happening now, a record-breaking 112.4 million Americans will travel during the December holiday season. AAA says that's a 4.4% increase over last year. So that means more than 1/3 of all Americans will be traveling, and it's the highest number since AAA has been tracking holiday travel. AAA says the holiday travel period starts tomorrow and ends Tuesday, January 1st. And take a look at this. Here's a look at LAX in Los Angeles. Of those 112 million travelers, nearly 46 million will fly, a 5.2% increase from 2017. The airlines expect daily passenger volume to range from 2 to 3 million, with today being one of the busiest days. Christmas Eve and Christmas Day are expected to be the lightest travel days. Around Madison, the Department of Transportation believes it may finally have a solution to Beltline congestion on days like today, opening the shoulder to drivers during rush hour. According to the DOT, it would cut down on traffic by 40%. Officials say the concept is currently used in 17 states and is recognized as an environmentally responsible and cost-effective traffic management practice to alleviate congestion.
I mean, there's crazier scenarios where you got other states, other countries that are, have overpasses over tons of houses and all kinds of stuff. So I feel like anything you can do to help alleviate traffic and congestion is good for everybody, right?
The DOT will start work with state, local, and federal authorities to see if the idea is feasible. If all goes to plan, the shoulder could open as early as 2021. And let's see what the weather has in store for us tonight. Meteorologist Dana Fulton is on the backyard patio with your first alert forecast. Hi, Dana.
Hey, so we actually had another day with temperatures above average rather than hopping into the 40s, though. We saw highs in the mid-30s, which means Lake Mendota just couldn't survive. The lake, of course, frozen over since December 15th. Has now opened back up, or the ice is now off. And this is the 7th time in our state's history that the lake has frozen and then opened up or thawed and then refrozen again. So our question mark, of course, when is it going to actually freeze over again? And unfortunately, as we look through the weekend and even into Christmas, it seems like this trend of temperatures staying just slightly above average through the afternoon, it's really going to continue on for us. Our Doppler track right now is nice and calm. We're not looking at any sort of threat for flurries or any mix for us tonight. It's about 26 degrees in Madison, 30 in Janesville. It's a little cool outside currently with that breeze still coming from the north, but it's finally calming down just a little bit, staying in the single digits for us. Currently at about 7 miles per hour in Madison. Still enough to factor in for our wind chill. It feels like we're closer to the teens in Madison and 23 in Janesville. So take that trend, carry it into your Saturday morning. That wind chill is going to be a factor for us. Overall, we're expecting a few pockets of sunshine tomorrow, with the flurry chances popping up in the afternoon. But we'll take a close look at what's ahead for your travel weekend before Christmas in just a few minutes.
Thank you, Dana. An incident that happened at Plan B nightclub over the weekend is sparking controversy online. Now the future of the club remains uncertain. Jamie Perez joins us now with details about what happened this weekend. Jamie?
Well, several drag queens who regularly perform at Plan B took to social media to explain their side of what happened. Plan B also posted their side on Facebook in addition to a response to the incident this weekend. But this seems to have sparked more criticisms regarding a history of issues that some are bringing to light. At a drag show last weekend at Plan B, drag queen performers claim they were told not to use the changing room and bathroom to prepare for their show. They say managers told them to change in their cars or come already dressed.
Well, that's not safe at all. I mean, you can't have, guys dressed as women changing in the parking lot in the freezing cold.
Bianca Lynn Breeze is a show director, but she stepped down from her position this weekend, saying this was the final straw. She, along with other performers, took to social media to express their anger over what happened last weekend on top of other issues that were brought to light that have spanned over recent years.
This should have been taken care of months ago. You guys should have known. Communication wasn't relayed. I guess with 3 owners, communication can go anywhere.
From the response on social media, other performers have also said they're done performing at the nightclub, including Regina Lynn Taylor.
Once I started hearing allegations of people being served underage, the mistreatment of people of color within the bar, people harassing, or the owners harassing their own patrons and employees, I knew that as a queen in my own morals, I didn't want to represent a bar that was no longer a safe place for not only performers, but for the queer community in Madison.
None of the owners at Plan B responded to our request for comment, but on their Facebook page, they posted this response saying, in response to the recent conversations circulating about Plan B, we are saddened to see a number of people upset with some of the directions Plan B has taken. A few weeks ago, we were contacted by City Inspector's office that the upstairs, which is used by our performers, could no longer be used, indicating that the use of the changing room must come to an immediate halt. The closure of our changing room was necessary to keep our space open and safe for all. The use of the upstairs would result in serious fines against Plan B, which Plan B is not able to sustain. Our understanding was that all drag queens had been informed. We are deeply sorry that our performers, as well as the larger drag community and allies, were offended by this serious miscommunication. Now, the 2 people that were shown in that interview said they would no longer support a club that they feel does not support their own community. The future of the club remains uncertain.
A longtime higher education leader has been named interim chancellor at UW-Whitewater. System President Ray Cross announced today that Cheryl Green has agreed to take over the post on January 1st following the resignation of current Chancellor Beverly Copper. Green previously served as Assistant Vice President for Student Affairs at Tennessee State University. She brings more than 25 years of experience working in higher education. A judge ordered Stephen Pyrus, the Madison man who blew up his own home and killed his wife, to pay more than $36,000 in restitution. Pyrus pleaded guilty in April to charges in connection to killing his wife, Leanne, and blowing up his West Madison home to try and cover it up. In court today, a judge ordered Pyrus to pay restitution to the surrounding victims and Leanne's family. Pyrus was sentenced to life in prison with no chance of parole. A driver in Slovakia survived a spectacular crash, all caught on camera. Police say the 44-year-old driver appears to have fallen asleep behind the wheel when his BMW went off the road and hit the road's shoulder. He hit the top of the tunnel and his car flipped. Somehow, the man only had minor bruises. Another scary crash today on the Dames Point Bridge in Jacksonville, Florida. An entire semi-truck nearly went off the bridge, dangling on the edge. The trailer actually detached and fell into about 3 or 4 feet of water, meaning it's not in the way of any boats. The Coast Guard said the driver is okay. Verona's Assistant Fire Chief Don Catenacci is resigning amid claims of mismanagement and new allegations of violence in the workplace. Firefighters Local 311 says that Catenacci's resignation has been a long time coming, but they are disappointed that he isn't taking responsibility for his alleged actions. Chris Lewinberg tells us more.
Local firefighters 311 requested an investigation into Verona Fire Department's leadership back in November, and after those results were first released, new allegations came forth about Assistant Fire Chief Don Catenacci's behavior.
There were two additional allegations of workplace harassment, intimidation, and violence.
The union describes an event they called very serious, in which Catenacci allegedly attacked a firefighter.
He came up from behind one of our firefighters and performed a headlock maneuver from behind to the point that the firefighter couldn't even breathe.
Given the seriousness of the allegations, Oregon Police Department is completing an investigation into Catenacci's conduct. Verona Mayor Luke Diaz said, "I've been waiting for the results of the police investigation into Mr. Catenacci's conduct, and I think that that's more than fair." Union leaders say that pending results of the investigation, they believe Catenacci could see criminal charges.
Due to, again, the preponderance of evidence and everything that happened, we fully believe that the assault that took place by Assistant Chief Catenacci onto one of our members would certainly meet the criteria to be charged with criminal battery.
In his resignation letter released today, Catenacci didn't mention the assault, but said that his resignation comes primarily from the fact that the mayor and council have shown almost no support for the fire chief, myself, or the many firefighters that have clearly expressed their opinions on the root cause of the problems at the fire department that the Riesling investigation exposed. To union leadership, his letter ignored the issues at hand.
It would have been the right thing to do to take responsibility and say sorry for what he did. That didn't happen. He did, contrary to what his letter says, he did get his chance to tell his side of the story.
I'm Chris Lewinberg, WISC News 3.
Union officials say that the results of the investigation could still level charges against Fire Chief Joseph Giver, who they say oversaw Catenacci and didn't take action. We reached out to Giver, but were unable to get a response. A lawmaker from Sun Prairie wants to change state law following a deadly explosion in Sun Prairie. Representative Gary Hebel says he wants to more closely examine the construction processes where utility lines are marked. Investigators say a natural gas line was not completely marked and was struck by a contractor, causing that explosion. Police say it was the result of miscommunication between several companies, a situation Hebel believes could have been prevented.
Whatever the reason, it doesn't matter. Safety has always got to be number one. And in this case, expediency overtook safety, and as a result, we lost a wonderful firefighter, Cordy Barr.
No criminal charges were filed in the explosion, but Abby Barr, the widow of the firefighter who died, and two firefighters who were injured, have filed lawsuits against companies they say were involved. The Taco Bell Cantina on State Street will be receiving its liquor license after all. A Dane County judge ruled in favor of the restaurant in a lawsuit. The Flynn Restaurant Group owns Taco Bell and wanted Taco Bell Cantina to have a full-service liquor license. However, Madison Mayor Paul Soglin vetoed the license last year. Soglin has proposed a liquor license moratorium for all new restaurants in the State Street area as a way to lower drinking-related crimes. The Flynn Restaurant Group released this statement today saying it looks forward to offering beer and wine at the State Street location. Taco Bell Cantina opened on State Street a year ago. The Lodi Public Library will be reopening the day after Christmas. It has been closed since December 12th when mold damage was found during a remodeling in the basement. A professional mold removal team was hired immediately to address the issue. They say the most recent air quality test came back clean. Still ahead tonight, your full weekend and extended holiday forecast. And celebrating the official start of winter, we will check out the annual winter solstice celebration when we come back. A bizarre incident at the National Christmas Tree in Washington tonight. The tree and the area surrounding it were briefly shut down to the public after authorities say a man climbed up the tree. U.S. Park Police sent negotiators to the scene to get him down, but authorities say he later came down on his own accord and was arrested. As we enter the holiday weekend, there are a lot of special events going on here in Madison, including one tonight at the Alliant Energy Center. Beautiful. It is the Urban League of Greater Madison's 9th annual Gospel of Carols. It features classic Christmas carols with a little influence of gospel. Well, today marks also the beginning of winter, also known as the winter solstice, the one day of the year with the least amount of daylight. And a large crowd celebrated the event at Old Brick Gardens with a bonfire. After today, the days will start getting longer and the nights will become shorter. The increase in daylight is minimal at first, with an increase of 1 to 2 minutes of daylight each week. By the beginning of February, though, we'll be gaining about 15 minutes of daylight each week. And meteorologist Dana Fulton joins us now with a look at our forecast. Hi, Dana.
Hey, so of course the difference between today and the longest day of the year, we have about 6 extra hours of daylight for us. So today, though, unfortunately, not a whole lot of daylight. It was a little cloudy outside. Tonight, we're looking at temperatures to drop a little more than what we saw last night, into the low 20s for our overnight lows. We have a flurry chance in the forecast for Saturday, a slight chance on Sunday. May even get a little more sunshine for us on Sunday with a partly sunny sky. And we are expecting some flurry chances to come back in around Christmas for Christmas Eve and early Christmas morning. Right now, our Doppler track is nice and calm. No threat for any sort of flurries or mixed precipitation overnight. Our next front is off of the plains right now, pushing a lot of snowfall through Minnesota and North Dakota. We are only going to see a chance for flurries, though, as that front starts to push east. Not really accumulating for much, just a few snowflakes for your Saturday and into Sunday. Again, just a chance coming through. Overnight, our mostly cloudy sky is going to slowly become partly cloudy. So that's a little bit of good news as we head into Saturday morning. Temperatures will fall into the lower 20s for overnight lows in Madison, closer to the mid 20s for Janesville and Platteville. Throughout the day on Saturday, a variably cloudy sky expected. So more clouds than sunshine, and that chance for flurries, of course, for Saturday, and a slight chance on the way for Sunday. The good news with Sunday, though, plan on a partly sunny sky, so a little more sunshine expected in the afternoon. Both days should be just fine, though, for any sort of travel. As we look ahead to Monday and Tuesday, of course, Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. For Christmas Eve, much of the day will be nice and calm. It's not until overnight that we do have the chance for a little bit of flurry action to come on through, and I really just mean some trace amounts of snowfall possible for southern Wisconsin, with that slight chance for flurries into early Christmas morning. Most of it will all be wrapped up by noon. Nothing that should impede any sort of travel for Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. And just know that we might actually have a little bit of the white stuff for Christmas morning. But again, only expecting right now barely a few tenths of an inch, if a trace amount, if that. Overall, Madison actually is quite in favor to have a white Christmas. We're right on that line if we take a little closer look. Anywhere from that 50 to 75% chance throughout Dane County. Unfortunately, this year, it looks like we're having a repeat of 2014 and 2015. We're likely not going to have any snow on the ground. I say that, but again, with that flurry chance coming through, there is just a chance to have some trace amounts for some areas. The majority of us, though, not expecting a white Christmas. Temperatures for Christmas Day will be cool. We'll be flirting right around freezing for our afternoon highs throughout the day. Plan on a variably cloudy sky with that flurry chance again just in the morning. Today wasn't too bad outside, just a little cloudy. Afternoon highs in the mid 30s, 35 for us. And as we look ahead to the weekend, plan on very similar conditions. Overnight will fall to about 23. It is going to become partly cloudy. Tomorrow we're expecting 35 for the high with that variably cloudy sky. And we're going to continue to see that mid 30 range high for Saturday and Sunday. We drop a little bit for Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, closer to freezing, but still above average. Our next big system is going to come through late Wednesday and into Thursday morning. That mix may bring the chance for some freezing drizzle and icy conditions for early Thursday. And then notice as we head towards the end of next week, and of course New Year's Eve, we're expecting quite a cool down to start off 2019.
Dana, thank you. The Bucks get a big win in Boston. That story coming up in sports.
The Badger women's basketball team plays its first game in 9 days tonight. The Evansville Purple Aces are at the Kohl Center, the final non-conference game of the year, and if only they were all this easy. The Badgers controlled it from the start. Verona's Alex Luring hits a three. The Badgers are up 48-24 at halftime. Second half, kind of the same deal. Kendra Van Leeuwen gets one of her 11 assists. Marcia Howard has a double-double, 21 points, 12 rebounds. Your final score, Wisconsin 96. Evansville 60. The Badgers now 9-3. They'll start the Big Ten season a week from tonight at Minnesota. Tomorrow morning, the Badger men's team plays Grambling State at 11 at the Kohl Center. Senior forward Ethan Happ has certainly become the team's leader the last couple of years. That's a role he's grown used to. And fortunately, he was able to learn from those who came before him.
I had it real easy here coming in where I had, that really good group with Frank and Sam and Josh. Really good leadership, and then that passed down to Nigel and Bronson. So I was kind of in the back seat for a while, but it did some adjusting last year, and then coming in this year, I feel a lot more comfortable in that role. And just like all leaders want to, be tough and be there for their team, but, real leadership qualities are like honesty and being able to talk to guys when you need to and not make them, fluff them up, but tell them the real honest truth.
In Milwaukee tonight, 20th ranked Marquette hosts 14th ranked and undefeated Buffalo. Well, at least they were undefeated. Marcus Howard had 5 points in the first half. He had 40 in the second half. That's 45 points for the game for Marcus Howard. The final score is Marquette 103, Buffalo 85. Marquette grad is clapping over here. The Brewers traded outfielder Domingo Santana to the Seattle Mariners tonight. The Brewers got outfielder Ben Gamel and minor league pitcher Noah Zavolis in return from the Mariners. NBA, the Bucks at Boston where their season ended last April. Tonight they roll. Giannis scores 17 in the third quarter alone, 30 in the game. Final score Bucks 120, Celtics 107. Randall Cobb probably won't play for the Packers Sunday at the Jets, but Aaron Rodgers is a go. He's had another full day of practice today. The 28th season, of course, pretty much done, but there's always 2019 and beyond. Rodgers is under contract for the next 5 seasons at $33.5 million a year. Even with that big number, the Packers are in pretty good shape with the salary cap. They'll have two first-round draft picks next season, and Rodgers is pretty hopeful for the future.
We have a good setup, I think. We're going to have a big chunk under the cap and 2 first-round picks starting off, and there's a lot that you can do with that. And I think it'll be exciting to see what Brian and his staff do to enhance the roster. I think we have a lot of the pieces in place to be successful. Obviously, injuries have hurt us. We have some tough decisions to make across every position group. But I'm excited about the guys we have and the potential of guys we could get.
And college football, the famous Potato Idaho Bowl in Boise. BYU seems to have the advantage with blue uniforms that blend into the blue turf. Of course, the BYU beat the Badgers at Camp Randall earlier this season. They beat Western Michigan today. Zach Wilson to Dylan Colley for 2 touchdown passes. Final score, BYU 49, Western Michigan 18. We'll be right back.
holiday weekend is here.
Absolutely. And overall, we are expecting quiet conditions for the roads. Temperatures will stay just a little above average in the mid-30s for Saturday and Sunday. And then we do have the chance for some flurries Christmas Eve into Christmas morning, which means some areas may see some trace snowfall for Christmas morning.
All right.
That's good.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us. Do something good. Have a great weekend.